right, so as you guys could see, I have a little problem with turn signal bulb on this car. Now, it can be a couple things. It can either be a burned out bulb, not very common on these cars. Actually, what's more common is if you look in the bottom of these two connectors for the bulbs, or the socket, this is the old one and this is the new one. You see all that stuff that's down in there on the terminal where the bulb sits on? That actually keeps the bulb from contacting properly, and also on the side here as well. If you look down here on the side here, there's your side terminal in there. It also has a lot of buildup on it. Now, what happens is, this bulb actually works. I can show you, but if you twist the bulb into the right spot in the socket, it actually contacts and works. But if you look at the end of this bulb, see how it's all like mushed down and not level? The actual end of this contact on this bulb's melted away, so it's not contacting properly. A lot of times what happens with these is that contact down there in the bottom of this socket will actually, the bottom spring tab that contacts the bottom of this bulb will actually melt a hole completely through it and stop contacting the bulb. I bought new sockets just because I knew how bad these looked and I didn't want to mess with just putting a new bulb in it and having that not work. These sockets, I want to say, were like $12 or something like that. The OE ones are like $24, $25 a piece. It's actually pretty expensive, so I went with an aftermarket socket, just strictly on the fact that it's cheaper and it's a socket. I mean, if it works for a couple years, it's worth the price difference to me. I wanted to show you guys how to get these lenses out too. They're actually super simple. Right here, there's a hole in your fender, and if you look down in there, there is a Phillips screw in there. Phillips screwdriver, loosen your Phillips screw up just a little bit, and then you can come in from here and push your headlight out, your light itself out. And then you're gonna pull it out. Actually, I gotta loosen my Phillips screw a little bit more. Ignore my nasty pine straw. And then these bulbs are just twist to unlock and pull out. And then the way these work is this tab here is what goes underneath this clamp here. This guy right here, it goes underneath it. When you tighten the Phillips screw down, it actually squeezes this thing down and squeezes down on this tab and holds the light in place. And then there's a locating pin here that locates into this hole here in this fender bracket. If you look, it's on the other side as well. It's actually broken on this side, but locating pin, hold down clamp. Now what you have to make sure of is when you go back together and when you put the headlight in, the corner light in there, that you get this metal washer up like this before you push the headlight in underneath it. It can be hard to do. You can use a pick or a screwdriver or something like that to hold it up from up top. When you're pushing the headlight back in, a pick's probably going to be the easiest thing, like a 90-degree pick. But hold that up before you put that back in there, because that's supposed to clamp down on the light itself. So I also got a new set of cornering lights, so we're going to put those in as well while we're at it. Alright, so as you guys can see, I got both bulbs working now. This is actually the bulb that was in that old socket that you saw at the beginning of the video was not working. So obviously not the bulb that's burned out, it was the socket that was giving me problems. Even though the bottom of that bulb does not look good, it was the socket contact that was causing it to not work. I wanted to show you on this side because I haven't tightened this side down yet. When you're putting this light in, there's a locating pin out here I had showed you, but there's also a locating tab here on the inside of the headlight that goes on this piece of plastic here on this corner light sits inside of. This plastic's thin here and it sits inside this groove here on the headlight. So when you're going in, you have to make sure that you line up the tab back there and then keep the bottom of this cornering light close to the headlight before you push it back in there so that it slots into this, because if you don't, it'll end up like this. it'll go in there and screw in that way, but obviously there's a giant gap across the bottom because it's not in that slot properly. So you're going to want to make sure that you follow that slot so that it stays in there. So we're going to screw this back down and get this all mounted up. As you can see, these corner lights are pretty easy to get out on this car. And like I said, don't always assume that it's a bulb. These cars are actually really common for the sockets getting burned out. At the dealership, we stock them. So that's a pretty telltale sign that it's a pretty obvious problem when even on an older car like this, we stock these sockets. So I appreciate you guys watching the video. And if you have any questions about what I just did, please comment down below and I'll answer any questions you have. Please like this video. Helps me know that this stuff's doing people good, and please subscribe to the channel. There's going to be plenty of stuff like this. I work on this car all the time. Like I said before, it's an older car, it's got problems here and there, so you'll see me fixing stuff that goes bad on it. This happened to me while I was driving to work one day. Hit the turn signal, stopped working, took the corner light out, found that the bulb socket was burned up. Okay, pretty common problem, ordered a bulb socket. So if you have any questions, like I said, comment down below, and I appreciate you guys for coming, and I'll see you later.